Hi everybody, Big Red here, and today we have a first of our little conversion tips for dust warfare. And today we're going to talk about how to make a Loth. So, for those of you who don't know what that means, first of all, there is the one German medium Walker kit that you can get from Fantasy Flight Games, and it is a combo kit that lets you build the Luther, Ludwig, or Lothar, which is these three here. But for those of you who play Dust Warfare, when you open that book up, you notice there's this guy down here at the bottom. They don't even talk about him in the background, and that is the Loth. And what we have here is the Luther is the classic one that's in all the pictures. So that has it has a 5mm Flak 43. That's this gun right here, and then it has the Kampfzang, which is the close combat fist right there. And the Ludwig has the two 88s shown in the picture, and the Lothar is the support one that has the two Nebelwerfer artillery batteries. But the Loth down here is the mystery one. And this guy has two close combat arms and a turret machine gun. And it's not mentioned, there's no pictures of it, and a lot of people are wondering, hey, well, that's kind of a cool version. That's the dedicated close combat one. Where do I get this thing? And basically, there isn't a miniature of this thing. This thing, it was produced several years back as a very, very limited edition kit. Every now and then you see them on eBay, but pretty much they're incredibly difficult to come by. They tend to go for a decent amount of money if you can find them at all. But we did a little bit of research and found out that you can make yourself one pretty easy. So we're going to come back in just a second and show you how you do it. And we're back. So what we have here is two of those combo kits. So what you want to do is you want to go out and you want to get yourself two of them, of those German medium Walker kits. And what each of those kits will give you is each of those kits comes with one each of these two weapons, and then it comes with a pair of the 88s for the left and right arm, and a pair of the Nebelwerfer support rockets. So we're not going to bother showing those for this little tutorial here. But by buying two kits, you end up with, you'll put the other one aside, you end up with two of the 5cm guns and two of these. So the question is, what do you do with them? Well, let me show you. First off, move these out of the way, is when we started looking at these really, really carefully, we noticed that these arms, here is the close combat arm. Let me just put these out of here. These, if you look at them, the actual arm itself will kind of go over it. It has this, you get this main body right here. There's the pinchy claw. You get the tubing. You get the main body of it, and it is exactly symmetrical, left to right. So that could be used for either arm. The only thing that's different about it is that, and then it attaches to this shoulder piece that goes up, and that goes into the side of the Walker. And then it has this kind of metal mounting on around it. So what we discovered is that if you so put that one down there, the 5cm cannon is the exact opposite of that. It is the gun is also exactly symmetrical, and it has this thing around it, which also, as you can tell, because it has a notch here and that one has a notch there that are made for the different sides, they're not exactly, those two aren't reversible. So, but the actual weapons are. So the first thing we said is, first of all, let's see, is it pretty easy to actually take one of these things apart? And the answer is yes, it is incredibly easy. So what you're going to do is, no glue is necessary here. This one we've already popped out. We're going to show you, you get your close combat arm, and really gently, you're going to just kind of pull. You see how this thing is flexing like that? You pull it apart, and there's two little tabs in there. When you pull that apart, the arm comes out. And you shouldn't need any glue, just be gentle. Don't force it. And if you do that, you end up with that. We do the same thing on one of the 5cm, which we've already done. The exact same technique. And you just bend this thing apart nice and gentle. Don't force it too much, and that will pop right off. So now you're left with two. You have the two weapons and the two shoulders. You also have the original ones. And the goal is going to be we want these two to be swapped. And let me show you how we're going to do that next. Okay, we're back. So the next step is, you'll notice that each of those weapons has this kind of shoulder piece. So we'll show you on the 5cm first, and this is the thing that kind of goes into the left or right side of the chassis of the Walker. So the first thing is we need to get that piece pointed in the other direction. Well, in the case of the 5cm, it's really easy, because if you notice it, let me just move it here, it has this little geared thing so that you can pose it when you actually assemble it. So you just pull that all the way back off of that gear, and then you see there's two little things right in here and here, and with very gently you just pop those out, as so, and then you flip it around, and then you put it back. It just slots right in, and then you put it back into the gear teeth, and look at that. Now you have one that is facing in the opposite direction. On the claw, it's the same thing. I've already taken this one apart. You just you don't force it too hard. You just kind of flex this little piece, and it pops out. And you can see there's two little, 1, 2 right there, and this went like that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to get this, and we're going to reverse it around so it faces in the other direction, and then we will just very quickly. Just do it right here because it's actually pretty simple. Is you just force it right back in there, which in this particular case, come on, I've already done this a whole bunch of times. There we go, and there we go. Now we have an arm. Now it is facing the other direction. So now we're left with, so we have now reversed. We now have the two main things themselves are have been reversed, and now we have these two guys. So the issue with these is that because they have that little notch in them, these need to be reversed as well, because normally you would just swap those out and you'd be fine, except that what you'll notice is that the close combat one has this little notch in it that the 5cm one doesn't, so we can't just actually swap those. We have to actually do something a little tiny bit trickier. So the goal is to get this notched piece, we want this notched piece to go with this pair of sides, and this notched piece to go with this pair of sides. Now luckily, if we look at this, I'll show you this really carefully, both of them are like this. What these shoulder pieces really are, is because these kits are pre-assembled at the factory, is there's one, that whole piece is one piece, and then the two sides have a center connecting piece that's C-shaped. So this is just a C-shaped piece that's connected to a flat piece. So if we separate those out, then we can just reverse them. And then we will have reversed the left and right housings for those. So let's get started. And on this one, we'll start on this guy. What the easiest way to do it is, once again, I don't need any tools or anything for this. If you want to use an X-Acto blade, it's going to go even faster. But basically, you don't want to force it because you don't want this bottom piece to snap off. But just you kind of give it a little bit of flex, and you can kind of run your fingernail or knife through that seam and then around it in all three directions. And then what happens is it just pops off. So you can see it just popped off. So there's two. So we have those two pieces that have popped off, and then you do it same thing on that one. You work your way around it. 1, 2, 3. Of course, I've done this before, but when you do it, and then that just pops off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get these two pieces, swap them, and then we will reassemble them. And let me go show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay, and we're back. So what we've done here is we have pulled those two parts off, swapped them, and then glued them back together again, which is a little bit of super glue once again. So now we have two shoulder pads, one without the notch for the 5cm gun, and one with the notch for the close combat gun. We have the two things, as we showed you in the last step, that we have removed the shoulders and reversed it and stuck it back on. And what that means is that, just like we saw with the original pieces, now we can get the one with the notch right there. And just as when we took it off the first time, you just push it on in there and get it onto those little pegs, which is not too hard. And there we go. And it fits like a charm. And we are left with that, and then we get the 5cm that we're left over with, and we put in here, and we do the same thing. We just kind of open that up a little bit so we can get that peg in there, and it will go in there also, pretty easy. There we go. And this is what we are left with. Now all of a sudden you have a pair of those and a pair of those, which means that you can do interesting things. The first thing you can do is we'll get the original pair, and you can just put those onto your onto your chassis, and you have yourself the standard 1 close combat and 1 5 that you can do, and you can get the second one and make the left-handed version of it effectively, where you just get the ones and reverse it. Put those on right there. So you can still, even though one of them is the reverse model, you which from a game point of view makes no difference whatsoever. So you know, you now, if you do that, you now have 2 Luthers. But more importantly, the whole reason that we did this entire step is that you can get your newly minted, totally awesome, move all these aside and get them out of there. You can put your new close combat arms on there, and you now, without having to go hunting on eBay or doing whatever, have a perfect Loth. And no muss, no fuss, and you still have all the extra arms to make all the other variants, and there you go. So there is the Battle of Lost Souls conversion corner for Dust Warfare. How to make yourself a Loth with 2 German medium Panzer Walker kits in about 10 minutes with a tiny dab of super glue. So we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.